Wow, that episode of Steins Gate Zero, episode 2, was freaking amazing. It's taking me back to when I watched Steins Gate originally, and there's a lot of correlations that are happening in these both of these series, and so I want to go over what happened in episode 2 and where the story is gonna lead us in episode 3 and forward. This is David the Smash Fan from Chibi Podcast.
Hey Miles, right forward, David, Diego, Jose, Heather, get your game faces on. Love Diva.
All right, let's get into this. So the episode starts right where the first episode left off, where they're at that convention, and you have Maho, who's going to be introducing the AI program Amadeus. And I predicted before that it was going to be Kurisu that was going to be the AI that they introduce, but it's not. Actually, what ends up happening is the program isn't working, or it takes, I guess, a few minutes to start up. And while this is happening, they tell the audience, sorry for this, but if you can wait just a moment, it will start up soon. You have someone in the audience who is like, oh, this is bullcrap. Like, I work in the science or medical field, and there's no way that data can be, or that memory can be changed into data, into some sort of program. And then we have Okabe, who does the same. Oh, he has this outburst that he had in the original Steins Gate episode of episode 2, actually, and he's like, objection. And he talks about how it is possible, and that it was, and he just says kind of like the same things that he did in Steins Gate. So anyway, the girl Maho and then the other guy Alexis Leskinen, commend him, saying, thank you, maybe we have a future Einstein in our midst. Anyway, they go on and they use actually Maho as the AI for this presentation, and what they did is they used all of her memories and everything from 4 days ago and implemented into the program. And what they were doing here was they were showing how they weren't using a computer, they were pre-rendered answers, and that there was a webcam that would look at the audience, and then she would answer according to what they were asking the AI, to show that this was real. And all of them are way impressed, and they don't want to. I guess the guy in the audience doesn't really want to admit that it's working, but it is. So after that, what happens is we go to this after party, and we see Okabe, being kind of standoffish and not being very social, and he ends up outside of the room and starts talking to Maho, which they start talking a little bit, and they come to find out that Maho used to know Kurisu back in America before she came over to Japan, and then he lets out that he actually knew her and was a friend of hers when Kurisu came from Japan to study in Japan. But what's interesting and what they don't say, and it's only happening in Okabe's mind, is that he knows her because of the previous timelines that he was in, and knew about her and gained a relationship that way. So, but he just says, I was a friend when she came over here, and then Maho gets a little teary-eyed. I guess she's happy that Kurisu was able to find a friend here. And then we have what's his name again? Alexis come in, and he says that he wants to have Okabe meet the actual AI that they're wanting to use. And so Okabe thinks about it, and he ends up going to the lab. And this was a very touching moment here, because he's looking as Maho enters her password and everything, and all of a sudden you see the AI of Kurisu, and he freaks out. His eyes get all wide, his pupils get small. He can't believe that it's her. And one of the things that Maho said before this was, you have to understand that this person is not real. This is not the real Kurisu. Also, this is from her memories from March of that year, which was about 3 months before she actually met Okabe. So this AI would have no recollection or memories of him. But anyway, what he tries to do is a test. He asks her about time travel, of whether or not it's possible. Now, if you remember in the first Steins Gate, she completely disregards it, saying this is impossible. She goes ahead and says string theory is whack, and all these other ones that I don't know of are whack. But in this one with the AI, she actually says, it's probable. We can't rule it out as an impossibility, So by that logic, it is possible. And so he's trying to wrap his head around this because it is a completely different answer than what he originally heard the first time he asked this question to her. And so his conclusion is that it has to be differences within the timelines, because as you remember, that Steins Gate 0 takes place in the beta timeline, so not in the original time that he needs to be on. So anyway, he kind of brushes it off a little bit, and he goes back to talking to her. And not much is said. He does say that, you know, in the beginning he's like, I know this is not the real Kurisu, and there's like a little funny dialogue that happens between Kurisu and Maho, which I think you can assume that Kurisu is asking Maho, like, why don't you date him and all this stuff, because she gets all red and it's like, no, I would never date, I'm fine, whatever, don't get involved in my life. So that happens, and then they ask him if he wants to be a beta tester for the program, and they say, you know, you don't have to give us an answer right now. You can give us an answer after you think about it for a few days. So after a few days, he goes and he says, all right, you know what, I'm going to be a beta tester on this. So what they do is they program, they put the AI into his phone, or they give access to the AI to his phone, to where Kurisu can talk to him. And now what happens is, when he's out with Mayuri, he gets a Skype message, and it's from Kurisu, or from the AI, and he just disregards it. He's like, no, I'm not gonna answer it. Just for calling 8 times, and finally on the 8th time he answers, because Mayuri says, you know, you need to answer that, and she's like 8 times, really? You're gonna ignore me 8 times? It's like, well, I wanted to talk to this beta tester, but if you're not gonna talk to me, that's fine. But if you want to call me, you can call me at any time. But she says, but don't think I'll answer you. And then she hangs up. And at that point, that's when he says, this is the true Makisu Kurisu. You know, being bold, being crass, not liking to be defeated, and just being very standoffish a little bit. That's when he's made up his mind, like, this is the one that I knew when I met her. And what's funny is that there's a throwback, there's a thing that he says when he first meets Kurisu at the lab, where Alexis comes in and they start speaking in English. And as you remember, like, they all speak English, or at least Alexis and Kurisu spoke English. And so Okabe tries to say, like, oh, hello, or sorry, I can't remember. And then the AI says that your pronunciation is bad. And then he goes like, shut up, Christina. And so the Christina line is a throwback again to a line that he used to back in Steins Gate, where he found out that when Kurisu was like on 4chan or 2chan, she had some sort of alias on that. Just cool throwback on there. And like I said, the episode ends with him saying, like, this is the one, this is Kurisu Makisu. It's a great episode. It's setting up for what's to come. I really think he's gonna lose it in the future episodes. He's gonna be like, I can't deal with this anymore. This is her, and I think it's gonna spark him to realize that it's not really her, but that he has to go back in time and get back to the original timeline. So, great episode. Not too much happening, except for the big reveal and with Kurisu. So I give it a 9 out of 10. Let me know what you guys think in the comments below. This is David the Smash Fan from Chibi Podcast, and I'm out.
It's yours! Yours!